Training is going smoothly, your mobility is improving, your strength numbers are climbing, and for a brief moment, everything seems to be going perfectly to plan. When suddenly, sickness rears its ugly head and knocks you on your ass. So, should you still work out, or should you take some time off? It's quite the predicament because on one hand, you don't want to lose the gains you've worked so hard for, and on the other hand, you don't want to be sick any longer than you need to be. Which is why in today's video, we will be tackling this tricky topic, and if you stick around to the end of this video, I'll even share my preferred method for getting back to training full speed as quickly as possible post-sickness. Sound good? Let's get it. First things first, to answer this question, should I work out when I'm sick, there are a few different things we need to take into consideration. The first factor being, what type of sick are we talking here? Because there's a big difference between the flu and, say, a case of the sniffles. If you have the flu, a fever, or have a cold settling in your chest with a wet cough that resembles that of a chain smoker's, working out is a terrible idea, especially when you don't know which end it's going to come out of in the case of the flu or a stomach bug. And because we don't want a chest cold to become something like full-blown pneumonia because you decided to push it too hard, in any of the scenarios mentioned previously, please hydrate, maybe consider some electrolytes, and sleep a lot. In this scenario, you're just going to have to wait it out. But if you have a mild cold with, say, a stuffy nose, a scratchy throat, mild headache, well, the conversation becomes a little more nuanced. Let me explain. Let's say you have a head cold and just feel a little stuffy. You're probably okay to work out. That is, so long as you take a couple things into consideration. First is the intensity at which you're working out. Think about it. Your immune system is compromised even if you just have a minor cold. With that said, you have a limited amount of energy and your body is currently using more of that energy than normal to fight off your sickness. So if you maintain the same level of energy output as normal by training at a high intensity while you're sick, you are basically putting yourself into a health debt. And when you go into a health debt, your body comes to collect the payment like one of the Sopranos. And that well-intentioned workout suddenly becomes multiple weeks of recovery. So if you do want to work out while sick, just take it light. Lighten up the weight, rest longer between sets, reduce your sets and reps, and get a light lift in. This will be way more beneficial than overdoing it or doing nothing at all. Besides, most people don't start losing muscle mass until like 5 days of inactivity. And for those of you who like research, you can put a couple of links in the description below this video of a few studies that back this up. But there's still one problem we need to address. Where are you planning on doing this workout? You're not planning on going to a public gym, breathing all over everybody and touching all that equipment other members use, are you? Look, I want you to make your gains just as bad as the next coach. However, during this time period when you're sick, keeping your workouts limited to an outdoor space or in your own home is going to help keep others healthy. If you were in the gym and someone was hacking up a lung right by the kettlebells you were about to use, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't be super stoked on that. So just a little food for thought while you are trying to get on the other side of this. Speaking of which, I promised you that I would share my favorite method for returning to exercise as quickly as possible at the beginning of this video. So when you are feeling good enough to go back to the gym again, do you just pick back up using the exact same weights you were using previously, or do you start for your program over from the beginning again? This is my suggestion. Treat your first week of workouts back the same way that you would treat a deload week. Perform the same exercises that you were performing previously, but use 30 to 50% less weight, drop the total sets and reps by 30 to 50%, and gradually ramp your sets, reps, and weights back up over the course of the next week or so, which will accomplish two things. Number one, you'll be able to work out similar to normal without having a relapse into sickness. And number two, it will prevent you from being discouraged by getting crushed by the weights you were lifting pre-sickness and allow you to gradually ramp back up to those weights over the course of 1 to 2 weeks, which is massively important because functional strength gains are just as much a mental game as they are a physical game. So this gradual ramp up gives us a chance to start stacking small wins. With that said, I hope you have more clarity on the various factors to take into consideration before working out when sick. And if you're looking for a well-rounded approach to fitness and are curious about 3 often overlooked factors that play a massive role in overall caloric expenditure and fat loss, check out this video here, and I'll see you on the next one.